So you stumbled upon our podcast. I hope you got your lighter. Sup, I'm Lotta Locks, and this is my guest.
Hey, my name is Carlin. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And yeah, I'm just super excited and enthused to be a part of this community and a part of this podcast. Thank you for having me, by the way.
No problem. Thank you for being here. It took a minute. And I like to tune in on your sessions on Instagram because they're pretty informative. And I like to comment and you actually respond. So like it's like great dialogue, it just happens in an online space.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I think, you came, you introduced yourself to me and then you were just, trying to collaborate, trying to make things happen. And I love that. That's like exactly my energy as well. Mm-hmm. And I love what you're doing, the show and then also the events and all these different parts of the overall vision that you have come together. It definitely inspires me and it keeps me pushing.
Oh, thank you, bro. Because it's just like, things that I like to do is kind of what do I like to do and how could I make that an actual business, how I could.
Absolutely.
And so just dialing in more and more. And a lot of those things were discussed along the way, with people and it just didn't work out. And I was like, well, no, I'm going to make it possible. I'm going to find a way, So I just from the way you shoot, events and record things, like I think that's great because what I'm doing is like subpar in comparison,
Nah, you're doing way more. I'm just showing up to shoot. You're the one putting it all on, so I wouldn't be there without you.
All right. Well, what you smoking on right now? If you're smoking on.
I just puffed on a little bit of Great Babe for my girl's cartridge, but she's a pothead and she's not like she's a pothead, so she don't like to. If we're running a little low, she's like not even that low at all. She's like, you gotta have extras. But she's the pothead. She took over for me. I used to smoke quite a bit. Now I smoke daily, but it's not constantly.
Okay, it's understandable. I think that's the best part about cannabis, right? We kind of have created a space where you can consume it in any form you want and still be part of the community. Like you don't have to just like binge it. You don't have to be
just like on alcohol.
Like on alcohol, there's really one way to go. There's one trend or stereotype.
You're not drinking, like
go hard, bro. But with cannabis, it's like, oh, you're an easy puffer. Yeah, we'll joke with you about it, but like it's not anything insulting. Well, I am in the process of rolling up some inflorescence, peppermint agave, and that shit is crazy. I've kind of ground down. It's crazy. I smoked all of it. It's why it's empty.
Ooh, I like that. What company is that?
Inflorescence. Can you?
Oh, Inflorescence. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay, cool.
We just finished up some Pheno hunt from Freya Farms.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're a cool little farm up here in Bellingham.
Okay, have they made their way down here? If not, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, they have. They're Freya Farms. I think they're all family owned. Really, really quality cannabis. A lot of care put into the product. You can tell.
Great. Well, that's what like real cannabis enthusiasts care about. How much you care about your stuff, because then we can love it just as much.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't really care as much anymore. Like, I'm sure you've talked a little bit about like the THC percentages and that shit don't really matter. It doesn't. And it's just because everyone reacts differently. And
it's how it makes you feel. It's how it makes you feel. There's a general feeling that everyone like in theory experiences, but you're like overall, like you'll have a relaxing effect. Yeah. That's the overall general effect, but it could like end with a taste of euphoria for you, or
definitely, absolutely. Yeah, no, I just talked to a woman actually yesterday. She worked in the pharmaceutical industry in terms of third-party testing, and they're coming over to the cannabis side. But I think there's too many variables with the individual.
Yeah.
But once you can really start to like get some solid, consistent, guaranteed 99 out of 100 times feelings, that's gonna be money, right? I swear.
I was talking to Keith on one of the last episodes. He was talking about Delta 8s and how they're figuring out that he's saying that like sativa and indica will go away, and then it'll be more about what the cannabinoid profile is. And so that's where testing is going right now. And you're right, it will be on the money when they can use those cannabinoids to describe the effects, right? Like in combination, like I feel like more people need to drop explanations of terpenes and how those are what impacts your body, and then the cannabinoids, like a little hand in hand little
absolutely.
Yeah, then they really would understand what they're purchasing, and really be able to come in with a conversation starter for a bud tender to help them with. This is the effect I am trying to experience. So
absolutely, no, 100%. I mean, yeah, you just hit the nail on the head there. Also, too, like I think there's a large population of people that they tried cannabis anywhere from 1 to 5, 10 times in total, and all of those times they got really anxious, their heart's beating, the feeling. But that was the only one that they kind of had felt, and they didn't really get to feel that euphoria. And so there's so many people that have, I'm never smoking weed again. I'm never. Yeah. And so I think you could bring in so many more people if you could guarantee this is going to be,
I feel like when you are taking a new user and introducing them to cannabis, you should always talk about their mental state. So where are you and why are you turning to cannabis? Because cannabis won't fix your problems, and it's not going to stop you from feeling. And depending on the strain, you might feel that stuff a little bit stronger, and can't escape it. So your mental state is so pivotal in any psychoactive drugs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There goes the booty of pork chop.
I saw that.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's actually a really good point, because and honestly, I definitely, I think about, and I talk a little bit about, how we need to be in the long term, be aware of the psychoactive effects. But I think that was actually a really great way to put it, and I think that you're completely right, because I think, somebody's walking in. I mean, there's a whole saying, I think that is in psychology, where genetics loads the gun and then the environment shoots the gun.
I would agree.
So it's smoking cannabis. So like, let's say somebody is predisposed, and they have, they're much more likely to, have symptoms of schizophrenia, right? Or go into a schizophrenic episode. A crazy high percentage, green crack, or something like, that could literally,
push them
put them in a spiral.
Yeah.
100%. So I think that's a really good point, actually, that 100% that you make.
But do you think that it's lost because we converted to a recreational system? So like the mental health in that sort of questionnaire, I've never actually gone through the process, I should state, of getting a medicinal card, and having to go to the doctors for renewals and any of that situation. But do you think that the experience of doing that and losing that one-on-one connection with a physician removed the possibility of talking about someone's mental state when we converted to a recreational system? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, super good point. I would say, okay, so for my personal experience, when I got my green card, I was 17, and I had to get medical records, but I just found I had a concussion from way back. It was kind of one of those.
That's why I was wondering if the process was ever as good as it should have been.
Yeah, so I think it was good, I guess, and just it's always good, one-on-one, however brief it is good to kind of touch base. Like the doctor that I saw when I got approved, I asked them about another issue that I had with my hands. The circulation just was, I have this weird thing where my hands turn like purple so bad. It's just, anyway, he told me this whole new method of, it's an old Chinese method of, laying your hands on running hot water on the top of it, and it helps blood flow.
It opens up your
so
vessels.
Just like that little add-on right there, that I'll never forget that. I haven't seen that physician ever since. I know cannabis medical professionals that like, they're not just write you a medical license and you're out the door.
Yeah.
You'll never see them again. Yeah. I do know other people that they need at least 5 to 6 appointments before they can write you a medical license. So I think that it's hard because, like, unless it's in your medical files, you may not know if you're predisposed, right, to any sort of psychoactive thing. And it also could just be with the environment in terms of stress, right? So you have stress, a high THC, high psychoactive, you're in an environment, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different factors.
Triggers. There's things that add up overall, which is why mental health, it shouldn't be a privilege. It should just be something well, I guess, basically.
I think everyone should get free. We should be giving out. I mean,
life is stressful.
And everyone needs somebody to talk to. And everyone needs somebody to talk to, because it'll eat you up inside if you don't get that out, if you don't break it down, analyze it, understand it. And I'm a big 100%. Then overall, like, mental illness and all throughout America, it's just starting to be, certain aspects have been attacked, because they've been around for a while, but there's a lot of underlying issues that we're in this digital age. We're smoking. We have all these stimulants, right? With our phone always on. We have all these new things that the last generation didn't have growing up, or constantly. Like, I literally have, I got 2 phones on me. You know what I mean? Like, we're just constantly.
At one point, I had 2 phones, and if I was down here, a TV on and my computer running. Like, what?
I got my TV on right here. Literally, exactly.
Everything, man. Everything. And so, yes, mental, you just need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess that moves us right into the next section, or what I really like to ask all my guests, which is, how has weed helped you recently? For some people, it's such a broad question, but you can make it as narrow as the last hour. Like, how did it help you in the last hour that you can think of off the top of your head? Situation or general, situation.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take it away.
So, 100%. I mean, weed, when I was younger, got me in a lot of fucking trouble. A lot of trouble, right? And got me, just taught me a lot of bad habits. It's kind of fate that I'm in the cannabis industry, reminds me, because I wasn't like aiming to go into the recreational industry, even though I'd worked in medical previously. But it just happened to be fate. I happened to get this job, and when I see an opportunity, I see fate. I just I take that. But cannabis, when I was younger, it helped me develop really bad habits, and those affected other things. But it also is now the thing that is teaching me to be a better person, teaching me to make those habits, right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
it's pretty broad, but
no, that's not broad at all, because that's specific to your life. You know what I mean? And that's what I want this question to make you sit down and realize. Like, I don't know, like, people like, yeah, weed is great, weed is awesome, but how has it helped you? For me, I always like, as you're right, it has gotten me in trouble. I knew when I had to quit smoking weed when I was in high school, because I started at 14, and no 14-year-old should be smoking weed at all. Like, and as an adult, I know that now, but as a kid, it was just like, that's what everybody is doing. And it looks good, and I like how it makes me feel, because it helps me escape the boredom. But in times of boredom, that's when you need to be motivated. And in your youth, that's when you need to be motivated. So smoking weed and not knowing how to use it constructively definitely hindered me as a child. And I was like, oh man, I need to graduate. Like, oh, I want to go to college. I was like, oh, I got to do something about that. Let me put this down, put the little joint down, and get to these books so I can get out of here with a decent enough grade, so I can get into a school to literally get out of this existence that I feel that is trapping me and pushing me into smoking weed. Like, the only way I can do that is put weed down and go get focused and get out of there. And then when I'm an adult, or when I'm old enough to be able to control myself and my impulses, get back to it. And that's what I did. And then again, oh man, I need to graduate college. Let me go ahead and put this down right quick. I'm chilling too much. But here I am as an adult, and now I have control of it over myself. I have more self-control, and I can use it to create a business. I can use it to literally help me deal with situations and people that I just don't really have the capacity for.
You gotta be really happy.
Yeah, like, I just don't. Oh man.
No, I know what you mean. 100%. Yeah. And, I think that's interesting too. Like, I think, in a lot of ways, cannabis is a catalyst to help people grow, right? If you're making mistakes, that's fine. You're going to be, as long as you're learning from them. But, I think everyone could relate, to both what we're both saying, and, there's nothing worse and there's nothing better to get you super anxious, super, just freaked out, all nervous if, you're smoking weed and you got, this whole, bunch of shit to do, right? Right? You'll be smoking weed, I'm like, oh, shit.
Or you smoke the wrong strain, like, fuck,
yeah, or that.
Stuff that's gonna make me tired and I've got to get done. Like, I meant to smoke this strain. Now I'm like, oh man, I got to be awake. Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, now in the news, weed is, I really I wanted to talk about something that was relevant to the time and why we've converted to such a model of recording, which I honestly think is dope as hell. Like, if
super dope, really efficient. Yeah. I'm gonna be even after this pandemic. I'm definitely gonna be.
I think more people are thinking that now. That's what I love about this forced shut-in. Like, I know, like, the younger kids are like, yo, we've been on this, y'all lame. But everyone who had thought they had to be out or doing something to get shit done, no, like, you can get stuff done in your home. Let's go. If you
Absolutely
can. But in the news, I feel like terms that have been thrown around so often right now are essential needs, right? Because we can't escape it. We are now in the setting. It's COVID-19 induced, and social distancing is a way of life. And if you're really dialed into cannabis and in that industry, then that, like, cannabis is on that list of essential needs. So I feel like everyone's buzzing because what does that mean for the future? Where are we headed? But honestly, is it essential?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought this up, actually. Essential, this is where, and we can address the other aspect of it too, but the one thing that I was thinking about a couple days ago is, like, thinking about it, I was like, what's actually essential? It's the medical aspect, it's for medical patients, right? And I'm like, oh, these sly motherfuckers in the alcohol industry were like, alcohol is not, there's no medicinal, there's no essential need for it besides the vice, right? They attach themselves to the medical cannabis, right? And recreational in the middle. But, like, I was like, you slick motherfuckers.
We have to talk about this because in doing some research for the conversation we were about to have, like, I found this organization's list of what they considered essential services, and it's sort of a no-brainer when you ask Joe Schmo that walking down the street, which is like healthcare, fire and police, provisions for clean water, sanitation, communication and infrastructure, so utilities, food, transportation, banking, payroll, tax. Like, these are the things that literally will shut down a nation if they are not running. By definition, essential. The fact that cannabis made it essential has to do with the medicinal aspect, or that's what is being touted. But potentially, and some could argue that it's the amount that states are making off of the taxes they're receiving.
Yes.
So there's those two sides, right? So medicinally, and then from a the layperson perspective, if you are shutting thousands upon thousands of people in their homes, you want some weed around.
You want them sedated, yeah.
You want them to chill out. Because while they say fire and police protection, most places have gone to a situation where if it's not like life-ending or traumatic, we're not arresting over petty crimes. We're giving you a notice and we'll come back and arrest you later on because we're focused on what's happening. So police protection really isn't a thing, but if everybody's high, then we're all not beefing.
We're all 100%. I think you're great. I mean, that's one thing that I actually completely forgot about too. When I was talking about this to somebody yesterday, I forgot about the tax aspect too, and that's a huge aspect, right? That's probably the biggest reason for the policymakers, and they just had the, I don't want to say excuse of medical cannabis, but it was there to be that card to be played. 100%.
Capitalistic agenda, like, which is absolutely the only reason you can argue for alcohol sales if you're saying that, because I mean, coming from Florida and living here, I can say that because like you can buy liquor anywhere in Washington. Like you don't have to go to a liquor store to buy liquor. But in other states, you specifically have to go to a liquor store. So would the states lose sales or taxes from the sales if they close down liquor stores? Or is it just easy enough and enough of a profit to say, now we'll let them slide and keep them open? Because it's not because people are going to die from alcoholism. Is that?
No, that's a good point. Alcohol, they make, they obviously, the state makes a ton of money off that. Cannabis, I think, I don't know the numbers, so I don't want to say it fully, but I think it's surpassed. A lot of the states have surpassed. I might be off. I don't want to say that for sure. Regardless,
I have full faith that cannabis sales have surpassed alcohol sales.
Or at least like a major portion of them, I would say.
In tax profit.
I think in tax profit, because especially like the high, like Washington, like the really high tax areas, for sure. I do think that it's a vice, right? It's technically considered a vice tax, right? So there's alcohol, tobacco, and now cannabis. Cannabis obviously is in a different league, in my opinion, in terms of health overall benefits compared to tobacco or alcohol. But whenever there is, and I did a little segment on this actually a couple of days yesterday. There's a study that they looked at the alcohol industry through a recession from 2006 to 2012, so the very beginning of the recession, the very start of it, and then the very ending of it, 2012, and literally you see alcohol use is steadily going up. Right. So and it's just like, it's one of those things whenever like fucked up shit's happening in society, people resort to these vices. So, and it's also just a huge moneymaker, like you said. And I think a lot of people be pissed, right? So it's like why we're going to lose tax money if we close it down.
But why would
a lot of people mad?
It was always a black market industry. You know a weed man?
Yeah.
You don't get your weed with.
Well, I think it was alcohol. Maybe it was alcohol. Now that you say that, maybe it wasn't. Like I think people would be. I don't know.
No. People. I definitely think if they close the recreational stores around here, people would be pissed. Owners, as well as some individuals. But it's just like those are the individuals that converted to smoking weed after it became so accessible. And they potentially found its medicinal uses, because anyone who really smokes weed knows how to find weed with or without the stores being open.
Yeah,
absolutely. So like, why are we putting people on the front line?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's one answer to it. I think it's definitely, like we're talking about, it's like a multitude of different components coming together. One thing I would say that I think is interesting is, there's a bunch of different, sides to this, different parties that are trying to take advantage of this, right? So recently we see Colorado, they just, issued its first home delivery license. I saw that it was about 4 days ago.
I didn't.
Yeah,
tell me
3 days ago.
3 days
3 days ago. Yeah, 4 days ago. And so they licensed it to one medical dispensary. It's Native Roots owns it. But why don't we have that in Washington? I think it's pretty inexcusable. First of all, you're going to limit the risk of people, right? Not a ton of people going to a store. You're going to have one, person delivering. You know what I mean?
Why don't we?
Why not for the short term? But I've always argued, why not for the long term? I mean, my girlfriend.
Why are there no smoking lounges?
That's going to come. That'll come soon. But the home delivery at this point,
imperative.
They didn't want to do it because they wanted to make sure that retail was really solid initially. But we're 5 years into Washington. And what's the only place you can get cannabis now? Still cannabis is a retail. So it's a bottleneck. And so they have all the power, and it's slowly changing. But the moment that we get home delivery is the moment that some of retail's power is going to be affected. But the main argument that I make, not just because of power, business, any of that bullshit, it has to really mainly do with access, right? Access, because if you can order online and home delivery starts to get set up, then the selection is going to get bigger over time. Right, because people are going to want to offer more products and distribute, and that'll develop over time.
Talk that shit, Luke.
Yeah, but really, what fucking really gets me irked on this issue is my girlfriend's dad, he has CDIP, autoimmune disease, right? It's been really tough. And his wife, doesn't like cannabis, similar to my mom, so she won't go get it for him, even though CBD cannabis, that combination really helps him. He has to either wait for me or my girlfriend to go and get it for him. And it's like,
that's terrible because he needs
it. It's terrible. Exactly.
Who wants to be dependent on someone else?
No one.
No one.
Yeah. No, and it's ridiculous. And a lot of it has to do with, and I don't know, I'm not trying to throw any conspiracy theories out there, but like, there is an incentive for retailers to go to Washington, to the Capitol in Olympia, and make sure that they don't let home delivery happen, because the moment that they open up distribution,
it's not a conspiracy. They lobby together to shut down little people. It's a fact.
I know, it's a fact. I posted a video the other day about how Washington needs to, make retail, and I got like a few calls. I was like, what the fuck? I don't care. It didn't affect me, but it was like,
you wouldn't have to call someone and get mad at them if the truth didn't offend you. If it wasn't the truth, you wouldn't be screaming and yelling. You would just be like, oh, they're lying. The truth will come out.
Yeah, and there's a major incentive for the stores to block that. Mm-hmm. But now that this very unique window of opportunity is coming, I think that, we should try to really push it and say, Colorado, just did it. Why not us? So the big thing that differs from us in Colorado, right, is the vertical to horizontal. So the retail is split from the producer processor. So in Washington, you can't own, you have to own one or the other. You can't own both. I mean, there's definitely, you go around it.
Ass.
Your grandma can own one. Yeah. Which is ass, and it's going to transfer over, but there is a benefit to it that has occurred in terms of, because
variety.
Variety,
diversity of competition. It just feeds it.
Competition. You're right there, exactly. And creating brands, like real cannabis brands, like in Colorado, vertically integrated, stores. They still have jars of weed, no packaging, because they have their grow right next to their retail, and they've definitely caught up Colorado in terms of branding products, because that's how you scale, that's how you license out to other states. But the thing about it here is that only the strong survive, and a lot of companies I know have already went out of business. But what that leaves us is some of the best companies in the world. The Washington State market is the hardest cannabis market.
The science, I travel, and they'll just be there for the world, whoever sees this, people talk cash shit about the kind of weed that comes out of Cali and how it has the best on the West, and Colorado bud that, and Oregon bud that, and I'm like, it's all solid. Oregon bud, don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. There's quality growers everywhere. But the market that Seattle has created, they're doing shit with weed that y'all ain't even ready for yet, okay?
Couldn't have said it better myself. 100% right there.
There's some nerds out here. It's gray a lot outside. So all they're doing is thinking about different ways that they could do this shit and make it cleaner and better and go geeky with it. So down to yeast, down to whatever. They're talking in the lab and making computers and figuring.
Yeah, they get the lab code stuff. 100%.
They've been trying to warn you about what the market needed and where to go with it. Why? But those same people have been around since medicinal days, and then had to flip the script on what they were doing to get better in this corporate environment. And so then they find different ways to express that natural creativity they had of those glory days of medicinal.
Yeah, definitely. Could I ask you a question? Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No,
so I can't really ask this question to a lot of people all the way to one side and all the way to the other side, and that'll make sense in a sec what I mean by all the way. So balancing culture and business. So there's people that are all the way on the culture side, and there's people all the way on the business side. And it's hard to ask this question, but how do you balance those two out? So you don't want to be a culture vulture, right? But you also need to know business, right? You need to succeed. So it's this weird thing where it kind of conflicts and contrasts. Which is, what do you think about that?
My dude, if I could shake your hand right now, I would shake your hand, because this is a fabulous conversation to have.
Guess what, bitch? Coronavirus!
You're right. They're polar opposites, and you can tell when you get into an event with those two types of people, because you can feel the difference around you. And for me, as I feel like I'm an individual that's sort of in the middle. You know what I mean?
That's why I thought you'd be good to answer this question.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the business side of it, but I'm all culture. for me, I think that it requires a true partnership to make it work. Your brand should have people that are working in it that know weed culture, because otherwise you're faking the funk. And you should give them a space in your executive board. Just because you have the money doesn't mean that you have the experience and value.
Yep.
If you are dependent on one person to keep your operation running, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Like your actual cultivation of great cannabis, no, you need a team. You need to come together on all aspects of the industry, and I feel like that's a brand that thrives.
Absolutely, and it's just not cutting costs. Like you're willing to pay for good people that deserve to be in the culture, that have it in the culture, that put in their due diligence, and also those
learn.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have a big ego. You're like, oh, I know. No, you're in their space now, right? When they come over to the business side, then yeah, it could be switched, but. The egos, I mean, I'm glad, egos are fucking crazy.
They're so trash.
They're so trash.
They're so trash. It's interesting being who I am, like how I get to wiggle into all of these spaces, and have these conversations, because I'm so willing to just like, what ego? I don't care. Like, just be you. And I engage conversationally that forces people to be themselves. So they drop that whatever mask that they were going to put on. And I think that's my aim with this, with my brand and Baked and Blessed, is like just to come to this reasonably, but I'm still going to teach you and get you on the path of someone who loves this plant,
Absolutely.
So that you can spread that knowledge. Yeah, so we need a team.
But like, and I love that, because I think in a lot of ways you're kind of saying like being willing to be collaborative, being willing to learn, and being willing to teach, right? And we're all helping each other, and we're all trying to help each other grow.
It sells. Weed sells. This is proof. Everybody's going to buy weed. You know what I mean? So they're going to go to someone. But what experience are you offering? There's so much more to weed than just smoking it and getting high.
No, absolutely. So one thing that somebody had mentioned to me, that they put it in a really good way, is how long has like cannabis culture been around for? Like what, like thousands of years at this point? If you want to be like really technical, I don't know specifically, right? So, but a while. And then how long has the regulations been in place? Such a short time. So you have that short time to this massive amount of culture, and it's weird because it's like, you're trying to fit a boot onto something that is way bigger than that. Like it's
Seriously.
Not even like, yeah.
Like, it's popular, it's mainstream, it's in movies and everything like that, but you can't market it. It's But it's such, you create bottlenecks all the way around. So if there's too much weed content online, but that's the shit that people are watching. That's the shit that people are doing in their homes. Definitely. And they're going to relate to. So now I have to find and be creative and find a new network and a new group of people just to talk about the shit that you want me to sell, because you're getting money off of it. Like, it makes no sense why you are at one end trying to capitalize on it, but also on the other hand, regulating the shit out of it. So
that's a great. I have had a couple I've worked with people, and there's been times where the person, doesn't understand the culture, doesn't understand that, but they're a control freak in every aspect, and they're like, you got to let people do their job and let them do their expertise, and you got to do the same. That's because they think they know business. They think the culture aspect is just something to toss away, when it's really not, because there is a lot of underlying, people have died for this, people have went to jail for this, like generations. And so that's definitely like something personally that I always want to keep that conversation up.
Yes. Speaking of that right there about the culture, and people have died for this. So now, okay, let me see. There's, I will put the links out there for everybody that ends up tuning into this, as always. But MJ Biz, like, there's states that have deemed that at this time cannabis is essential. So are there people still in those states and other places locked up on cannabis crimes, on charges, and why aren't they being released? You know what I mean? Like, hand in hand. Now that cannabis is essential, now that you're saying that you have, like, the general public has to have this, and all I was trying to do was serve the general public, why the hell am I still sitting in jail? right?
Yeah.
So why isn't it hand in hand? Why aren't they going together?
Like 100%. It's such a funny part, like the irony, right? It's
Yeah,
essential now. So how the fuck am I still in jail, right?
Like that's what I would be. If I was in
like-
jail right now, right? Because
I'd
I
be
was just
pissed.
trapping pounds. I'd be like, the fuck? It looks like an Apple store. Like it looks like what, bro?
This quick, it's only been a few years. You know what I mean? Like it's just like Jesus.
It makes no sense.
Absolutely not. It makes no sense. Especially
Not when
now,
you're
like
paying bills.
Yeah.
Not when you're paying
No.
state bills with cannabis profits. So
100%.
You mentioned a bit about the recession earlier, and a lot of people have been wondering, like, will the cannabis industry survive the recession? And so MJ Biz Daily did an article. They dropped an article talking about, like, is the cannabis industry recession proof?
Yep. I peeped that one. Yep, that one. That's the one that references the alcohol.
Yep. Industry as a whole.
Yeah, and they say it's like, they said for the most part it is, right? Just kind of some of the issues that we talked about. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it could bounce. From talking to friends that are bud tenders, they said right away, like, the hysteria from this caused their tips and everything to go up. But at this point now, because everyone's setting in and realizing that this is a recession and we're in for the long haul, that they're still coming in and purchasing, but they're not tipping as much. They're not being as frivolous with their funds. So is it really that essential? And it's very frustrating. I've heard that, like, people are coming in and buying like one joint and coming in because they're stressed out, and
like,
2 more hours for another joint.
Yeah.
Like, do you not know what stocking up and staying the hell home means? Like, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that is a big frustration that is like amongst the bud tending community.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to spread that message that just, like, don't do that. Buy the ounce and chill at your house, bro.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think people are taking it a little bit more serious now, but like, like a week ago, I saw people at the beach.
Oh, it's other states. It's
still,
I just saw a video of last night. They shut down an interstate in Florida because, like,
Florida's great.
Partying in the streets. My people, I love you. I do. I was just there. I get it. Fuck Rona and all of that. Except people are dying hardcore. And
absolutely.
So you should definitely be at home and practice, minimize the amount of time that you're out and practice, like, safe hand washing techniques.
Yeah, you're endangering other people. It's not just you. 100%.
Those people should definitely stay home.
Yep.
The immune compromised should not be on the streets.
No, absolutely not. But regardless,
But if you can be home more, then just be there. If you literally have no reason to get up and leave your house and you're just doing it because you're bored, go roll a blunt. Let's play that game. Let's play that game as a world. And if you can't roll a blunt, roll a joint. And if you can't do that, like, go do something.
Go do something. Yeah. Do something that you always wanted to do that you had time for. Right?
Like, try to do a cartwheel. And if not, learn how to do a cartwheel. Each time you get the urge to get up and walk out. Have you been listening to music or jumping into anything?
I study the music industry.
Oh, tell me some more.
I make a little music just for fun. You make
a little bit. You strum a little bit.
I freestyle a little melody. Right?
Okay, all
right. Little auto-tune.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I grew up. Yeah, I went through high school in like the Chief Keef drill era, so that's what we were pumping.
Oh, got it.
So like my high school was from like 2012, 2015, or 2011 to 2015.
Okay.
But we were right at that.
I graduated in 2007, so I'm aging myself here. But
I love the music industry, and I'm trying to extract aspects of the music industry and how do we apply it, potentially help the cannabis industry.
That's smart.
But
it is. It's a little bit enslavement-esque. It started out that way, I would say, the music industry. So I don't know if I want to take that. If I had to say any industry that I wanted to mimic, I would say hip-hop. Hip-hop, and when I say music, I would just say hip-hop, how it went from underground and undercover to mainstream, and affecting all cultures. I would say cannabis and hip-hop, just like Very
and they 100%. I would say exactly. Rappers are savvy nowadays, right?
Yeah, they're getting
smart,
there.
They're owning their own stuff, which is a huge thing, right?
Ooh.
You don't sell your masters. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get in these slave contracts with a 360 deal. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna
you can do this independently as long as you want to, little bit.
If you got the internet, there's no excuse.
During this time of captivity, the artist just decided to bless me and help me. For me, like, I was like, oh, I get to stay at home and there is new music dropping left and right, and
you actually have the time to listen to it, because people be dropping now so much in like
always, like, before you knew you had seasons and shit, and like it just be occasionally, and you bump it for like 3-4 months. Not anymore. You got like 3 or 4 days, and I'm still trying to learn words. Like, what's going on?
No, exactly. It's hard to even digest it, because then, I mean, that's what I'm like. People like the professional, music, commentators and like reviewers. It's like they gotta keep listening.
All the time. There's always music on, something's always playing. But I also think they get it before the mainstream people do, so they get a chance to actually listen to it, because they're going to interview them way sooner. So as we're hearing it, usually it's like the media tour they do before they drop it, or as it's coming out. Well, Party Next Door dropped Party Mobile. Have you gotten a chance to tune?
I'm gonna check that out, because he's been gone for too long.
What? You better talk it. He was doing.
I mean, he's just been in the sweatshop writing those rhymes for Drake, right? Like, the OVO sweatshop. They did it so funny. They're so funny for that, dog.
Well, have you listened to Gambino's new album that dropped?
I have not, but I just heard literally right before we talked that sales are really bad, like Chance the Rapper type sales in terms of. Well, I'm not hating on them. I love them both. I
was like, do I need to stop my video and show you the Chance the Rapper posters that are behind me? Because I
love Chance the Rapper. I love Chance the Rapper, and I think people did him hella dirty on the review. They're like, who cares? He's talking about a time in his life right now. He's with his life. Yeah. I thought people like overdid that. I thought the media just didn't have anything else like interesting. I don't know. That was bullshit. There were some absolute slappers on that album. I haven't listened to the Childish Gambino one, but I just heard that like the sales are like dreadful. Yeah. Now, is that
they don't understand art?
Yeah, no. Childish Gambino is extremely talented. I mean, people give him a lot of shit because he comes from the path that's not usually taken from in hip hop.
As fuck.
Abstract, more of a Kanye line rather than a 50 Cent line. If you remember the Face Off, those are the kind of two personalities at that time point, and then it develops, right? Kanye develops the more, lyrical, all that, and 50 Cent's more gangster, all that, and then they all
still got bars, because you can't even hold that 50 Cent's lyrical, but it's more gangster, it's more street rap.
I love 50 Cent.
The division of rap forever.
And that whole shit was fascinating too. There was the when they did
Have you been watching the evolution of hip hop on Netflix? Because if you have it and you love music and you like hip hop, it's a phenomenal series. I thank them so much. Because it educates you on, like, I lived these moments, some of them, a majority of them, the later half, but because communication wasn't like this, and it was in pockets and in cities, you had to be there to know. So like this just connected the dots and let you see how it moved around and how hip hop traveled and how it developed in each area it was in, and like the history to it that like I knew existed, but I didn't know how to find out about it, like on a family or something like that. Got the mixtapes, got the experience. Love music.
I love how it's developed too, and it's got all these different aspects that just intrigue me, right? It's got it's music that I like, it's culture, it's innovative strategies, whether it's from branding, how you're gonna market yourself, how you're gonna stand out, how I think I like personally the fact that we now are in the age that the Cash Me Outside girl can monetize and have a $1 million career off of one meme. It's stupid, but it's also beautiful. In a way, and that's not the right example. It's
bittersweet. I would
Yeah,
say
that's not
because
the
the
right
culture,
example.
the culture's like, fuck that bitch.
Oh no,
But
yeah.
but it's like fuck that bitch. But on the low, she got some bops. She got some bops. She got a couple.
She got some bops, but that's just Atlantic, the whole machine line. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not giving her any of those credits. But no, here's good examples. In the moment, like memes and like things that happen, you know, they got, you know, like a fight and then that was caught on, like, for example, the baby knocking out that dude.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then like 5 hours later, he has the shirt and he's smoking and he's got the shirt and he sells out the shirt. And it's like, this is so like creative. And it's dumb, but it's just like it's so, you know, instant, right?
Miraculous. And like you could do some shit right here, right now, and make some shit.
Yeah,
it's off a video.
And I like the fact that they're building off of content, even if it's a small little meme or joke, and then somebody realizing that small little window and they take advantage of that. I can respect that. That's a smart move.
Hold up.
What do you listen to?
It depends on my mood. Literally, like, I go all over the place on a day, just depending on my emotions and where I want to be, especially with what I'm smoking. But right now, like I was saying, my Light Up and Listen playlist, Party Next Door, Party Mobile drop, the Childish Gambino, 3/15/20 drop, and then Jeezy 2020 Pyro.
I saw that. That got me hyped.
Those 3 albums right now are something that is in heavy rotation.
Do you think Lil Wayne is the father of all of the modern day rappers, or do you think Drake took that?
Can we say
like,
both?
I know that's what I would say.
I would say it's like passing the torch. You cannot. There is no real Drake without Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne, with his sound that created by his addiction, because it's an addiction, motivated way too many motherfucking people. You know what I mean? Like, and you could just say that's one thing. His ability to create off the dome and tell a story, because when Lil Wayne raps, he'll just go on a random ass fucking tale story and journey. That captured some people when they were writing tracks and they're learning.
That you're right. That trend is like that is a Lil Wayne. No matter, there's an argument there.
That shit's crazy. Like the little audio clicks, the sounds that became attached to, I'm ill. When he comes in and starts talking and flicks his lighter, like, you know, he's about to fuck up the track. Y'all could like that model right there influence a wave of people. Okay,
that's a great point. That's a super good point.
But Drake took that and went back home, and Canada was already popping. You know what I mean? But he took that model and said, I want to do that with my home. And he's another monster and influenced another wave, gave opportunity to another group of people to push another sound that's coming out of his own area, you know, like father, like son, sort of. I think the benefit of that is I don't think Wayne did to Drake what Birdman did to Wayne.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And that is the difference. Yeah. He gave him his freedom and he was able to replicate and create that. And that monster, OVO, oh my God, that branding, who hasn't it touched? Who hasn't made jelly? And if you say it ain't hot, you a fucking hater.
Seriously, though, people are just saying,
the greatest. To say Drake ain't the greatest, even saying that he's biting styles or doing whatever, he bites styles. He runs with it. But tell me you ain't made that song hot. Tell me you ain't want to shake a little bit to it. Or if not, your girl did.
So 100%. And he like brought life to certain. No, 100%. I always got hated on because, you know, back in high school, I loved Drake when he first came out. Right, I've always loved Drake. I'm a huge Drake fan, and you know we're listening like Drake, you know.
Graham. From the grassy days, we are homies.
Yeah,
go back.
Yeah.
Okay?
You know that time period where Drake just got shat on? Drake was just like absolutely like people either like loved him, you know, they hated to love him, even though his music were just bops. Now it's to the point where
he dropped albums on their ass.
Yeah, exactly. And and the thing about him too is his range of styles unmatched. And the fact that he's like now attacking the whole new London like slow drill, that's just fire. And he's like you know, and he definitely bites it, but I think he gives creds and he also gives people opportunities, you know, the Drake stimulus package.
Because now it's popular to a wider range of people. I've been like grime.
Yeah.
But Drake opened a bunch of people in America up to it.
Yep, and
these
reggaeton.
People these people are making money. Reggae, period. Popcorn, all of them. They're making money for it. So then the question is Drake the ultimate industry plant? I think I've heard that asked all the time.
It makes so much sense though. If you look at the background, it makes so much sense. It's like Degrassi, you had a couple years that you met Lil Wayne, like is sketch, but at the same time, I think the problem with the argument, and now we're on the exact same page there, but I think at the same time, you hit a certain level, I don't care if you're industry player or not, you can't go past it unless you're really the real deal. And regardless of the ghostwriting, like
he's an artist.
That was always the bullshit.
He's an artist.
To me. Yeah, I always thought that was such a stupid knock on people. Like, first of all, most rappers have them, they just lie. Been happening. Like Drake, I guarantee you, if you give him a pen and paper, he could write fire bars. Mm-hmm. He's not like somebody that I like literally don't think writes their own bars. Like
it's just it helps to collaborate. You come out with the hottest shit when you and the homies is kicking back in the studio, popping shit.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Well, I would like to give some honorable mentions. So, because besides listening to those 3 albums I listed on like Facebook Live, Zoom, IG, these live DJ sets or just musicians coming in and singing and playing piano, and I saw a sax set. Oh my fucking gosh. Have you been paying attention? Oh, I wanted to talk to this.
I've seen a little bit about it. I've seen a little bit of people.
You need to get on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All day.
I saw Timbaland and
the whole day. Manny Fresh did a set on live. I got to see him from my bedroom.
That's so ill.
Like, these are people you would pay a bunch of money to see in person, and you can see them for free when you ain't got nothing else to do.
And you comment on it. And
you know that they have nothing else to do as well. Because everybody's in the same fucking position.
I love it. It forces creativity.
It's so humbling. Humbling as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. It really is.
Have you been paying attention to Tory Lanez on this quarantine?
I saw him talking to Bieber. I haven't seen.
That man is gonna make so much money because of this time frame. Like, he's an ultimate hustler.
Oh, I love Tory Lanez.
Music dope, but all he's doing is logging into his live, and you watched him create a verse in the studio, just rolling up weed, create a verse. You know how many people at like 2:00 in the morning tuning in to watching? And then he's been doing quarantine radio on a daily, talking to other celebrities on there. Like, I think someone from there,
you're taking their followers, bringing them in. He's always been one of the smartest people in the cannabis. Yeah.
MTV logged on, right? Like, these are the type of people that are like watching. He's like, give me a TV show. And I was like, I would watch his fucking TV show because it's interesting. I could have it in the background because he's an entrepreneur. I make music, but also I'm like, I am entertaining. You want to give me a TV show? I'll just record what I'm doing right now because people are watching me, what I'm doing right now, for no reason. They're just on. Absolutely. And they're paying attention.
I watch that too, though. I mean, he's smart, though. I seriously, I love his music too. I love his music too.
It's so good. It's great.
It's fire. It's a little bit. There's Drake in the middle, I guess. You got Tory over here. You got maybe The Weeknd. I don't know. I love I like the melodious, quick rap. It's kind of a mixture of reggaeton and he has a lot of different styles, but
same. I like smoking music.
He's so talented.
I like smoking music, and that combines hard bass hits with chill ass vibes in an artist that flows over it, and so many people will fall into that category. So I just think when I saw that, I was like, he is gonna get his own TV show. I see it happening, and my only request is that you put it on something I can stream. So put it on YouTube or put it on.
He would not. I swear. Yeah.
Don't put it on MTV Daytime where I have to catch it or
some
record
specific
it.
service.
Like none of that fucking bullshit. Let
Yeah.
me be able to stream it, and that's when you're gonna fuck up the system. I'm telling you, Tori.
Yeah.
Get your money, bro. I don't know you, but we could be friends. I know you like Fronto leaf. We know some people that has good Fronto. You know what I'm saying? So if you need some leaf, I see you be
And
struggling.
some good pot.
Yep. Yep. So come, holla at us out here in Washington when you could travel, bro. Have you on the show for something or whatever. Also, Blimes and Gabs, another creative thing that I saw. They dropped their social listening party. Like they had a Zoom where they had a listening party for their new album, and people paid. You got it to access to the code, and you could
the virtual under,
and have a party. It was crazy. I was like, that's so innovative, man.
I love that. Yeah, they're dope. I know Gab. I gave her some space weed like a year and a half ago, and I met Lives too. So I mainly talked to Gab. Nicest, one of my favorite musicians out of Seattle by far. There's hell other people out there too.
No. I saw this post on like 206 Drip TV or whatever that was like name the dopest local artist, and I saw all kinds of names. I was like, who the hell are any of these people? And then I tried to go like to their page and stuff, and I listened to their rap, and it's whack. And not a single person on there said Gab, and I was like, y'all are fucking tripping. From SoundCloud to iTunes to the content they put out on YouTube, fucking fire.
It's so fire. They're doing it right. And she's a true lyricist, and like every single year that's less and less. Yeah. And like, I thought she might have blown a little bit earlier, just because I saw that they're on Sway. But no, I don't know if they're I think they're independent, right?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
They deserve to be.
Absolutely.
They
just blow up independent.
They need to find the right management. Rock Nation, listen, if you're trying to get out west, bro,
Rock Nation's greasy. They be greasing people. No, they're not. No, they're just
as
smart.
a manager.
They're super. No, they're really good business.
That's what I'm trying to say. You need some
Did you see the whole like 1501 with
Megan Stallion? Hell yeah, but
that whole shit was. No, it's not crazy. But
it's not greasy because you fucked her over. You can't be mad because your shit came to light.
The contract I'm pretty sure was like really like actually good. I think I don't really know the exact deals, but like what they did with Uzi, they did the same thing with Uzi. What they do is they just try to find all these different reasons to get out of the deal and then sign them themselves. Regardless, they're dogs and they're good at what they do. And if I was an artist, I would definitely have them as my management because they've gotten Uzi out of that situation now. I think they're getting Megan Thee Stallion out of that, and they're gonna just the thing that I don't like about which is Carl Crawford made this point in an interview that I read, but he was like, this is what Rock Nation does, that they'll, instead of developing the artists, from the very beginning, they pick off the really popping ones they can. They poach. And it's like Carl Crawford was like, saying, he's like, well, if you look at the contract that I gave her, as a brand new artist, and then if you were to look at the contract that Jay-Z would give her as a brand new artist, I think Carl Crawford's is a little bit nice, like way nicer. But from a standpoint of if you want to have like absolute good, like smart, fierce, getting you racks, go with that. Yeah. I love Rockefeller too. Anyway, I love Jay-Z, but
right. Yeah. No, that's real. Because they're smart businessmen.
Absolutely.
The hustle is the hustle, no matter where you go. So you just gotta figure it out when it's tiny, when it's low stakes.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if you have any dope events coming up with the cancellation of everything, but you want to let us know of anything that you have going on?
Yeah, so go check out my YouTube channel, Let's Talk Cannabis LMC. I just kind of cover, short segments that cover things ranging from entrepreneurship to investing, marketing, branding, just unique stories. And then, go follow me on Instagram, lmc.media. And, I think, I'm in the next, I guess with this pandemic, but, in this coming summer, hopefully everything's good. There's going to be a lot of moves that are going to be made.
For sure. Everyone's going to be released like,
Yeah.
Well,
also check out
prepared. Everyone who's prepared.
Yeah, 100%.
I did want to mention dope events for the Bakersman Collective. We're having Baked and Blessed, the virtual sesh, on Sundays. So at 4:20 every Sunday, grab come through and just sesh with us. It'll
Hell
just
yeah.
be random topics, more conversations like these, maybe a little less intense, because we're chilling. We're literally embodying what 420 is, like where you come and hang out, except it's virtual because you can't.
Hell yeah. I'll definitely be there for one of them. I'm very happy for that. And yeah, I had a great conversation with you. Seriously.
Yeah, same.
We were vibing, yeah.
For sure. Well, it's dope you took the time to have a J with us. Until the next session, remember, we're just two functional potheads out here trying to bring the light and truth about cannabis.